Good morning. Today we are going to talk about prayer and worship. And in this short video, specifically, we are going to discuss the what and the why of prayer and worship. Prayer and worship are both so vital to the Christian life. Now, the book of Psalms, which is the longest book in the Bible, is a specific prayer and worship book. In fact, there are 150 prayers and moments of worship. Psalms. So let's get right into this. What is prayer and what is worship? Now, through the Old Testament and the New Testament, there are 22 different words to describe what prayer is. 13 in the Old Testament, which is Hebrew, and 9 in the New Testament, which is Greek. Now, for worship, there are 17 total words. 4 in the Old Testament, which is Hebrew, and 13 in the New Testament, which is Greek. Now for prayer, these meanings all kind of follow a common theme, but they range anywhere from a request all the way to meditation. Now, what we can understand with all the in-betweens and everything of what is mentioned of prayer through the Old Testament and the New Testament, we get that prayer is to commune with God. Prayer is communion, relationship, communication with God. Now, communication goes both ways. In fact, possibly prayer is more than half listening, meditating on who God is. So the what of prayer is communing with God, relationship and communication with God. And worship, now those 17 words range anywhere from being prostrate and bowing down in reverence to singing a song of the goodness of God. Now we can draw all this together that what worship is adoring God. We can be in awe of who God is and worship Him. Now let's get into the why of prayer and of worship. It's been asked this: if God knows everything, then why do I need to ask Him anything? And it's also been asked, why does God need worship? Now, first off, let's talk about prayer. Why do we need to pray? I think it's better to let that speak for itself. Why do we need to commune with God? Why do we need to be in relationship with God? Because we are made for it. And I'll get into another meaning in just a moment. And why do we need to worship? Is God a narcissistic being that just wants everyone to say how good He is so He feels better about Himself?
Do I need to be liked? Absolutely not. I like to be liked. I enjoy being liked. I have to be liked. But it's not like this compulsive need to be liked, like my need to be praised.
Not at all. First off, why we need to pray and why we need to worship, we understand that it is because God deserves it and He doesn't need it, but we do. First off, He is owed everything because of who He is, but also we need communication with Him, and we need to adore Him, because in those moments, first off, everything around us, when we pray and when we worship, it affects the very environment around us, but even more so, it affects the environment within us. As we pray, as we commune with Him, and as we worship and adore Him, we are changed. As it says in 2 Corinthians 3:18, and we all, with unveiled face, beholding the glory of the Lord, are being transformed into the same image from one degree of glory to another. For this comes from the Lord, who is the Spirit. Now, instead of trying to convince people to pray and worship, can we just begin to enter into a place of prayer and worship and let that speak for itself? Because you and I, as Francis Chan says, we have the incredible privilege of worshiping and praying to and receiving from the God who made everything. I don't have to talk anyone into that if they understand the gravity of what it means to be in relationship with the God who created everything. And from that, beholding to become who he is, everything around me and within me is changed. All right, thank you so much for joining this video. Have an amazing day and blessings to your face.